All right, all right. This is just a quick mic check. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Maybe just put it in the chat or in the Discord. I'll be looking at both just as we get started here. All right. Glad I can be heard. I'll try and change over my screen here. We'll see if that worked. I mean, screen here. We'll see. Yeah. Okay, it did. Excellent. I think my capture is looking pretty clean. We will switch over here. All right. So I believe we left off with Natus last. However, I did see some questions. We did receive some feedback about, getting started with CTFs and kind of what they actually look like. So right now, in case you haven't seen in the Discord, there is an ongoing CTF called, I think it's Incognito CTF. It's based out of Japan. Competition's open to anyone. First place, I think, is like 7,000 yen, and uh, some other prizes, I guess. But I was hoping just here to quickly demonstrate, what a CTF looks like in terms of challenges and competition. So in the Discord, the link to the site is ictf.ninja. There is a link in the competitions channel to join. I just went ahead and solved kind of a challenge just to, see what this competition was like. They also have a Discord you can join. So if you're stuck, you can ask a question about a certain challenge or just meet some new people. You can see here the prizes that they've listed. So there's some pretty, pretty, pretty awesome prizes here actually. For even all participants here, you get 20% off, one password, and 1 month free access to Echo 3D, which I'm not sure what that is, but I have to assume it's something like music. You can see there's some great sponsors here, and yeah, so this is kind of like a common layout you'll see with CTFs. And just the way they're set up, they all work off of a framework here down at the bottom called CTFD. I'm not sure if that's, yeah, I can't highlight it, but where it says powered by CTFD there at the bottom, if you can see my cursor, that is, it's a common web framework or just kind of platform for people who want to host CTFs, but may not have technical background or knowledge. This is where got a new follower. Hello, Larissa. Good to see you. But yeah, so CTFD is just a common framework where anyone can host a CTF free of charge. You just need to actually have the infrastructure to set it up on. So if we go over here and look at the different tabs up top, we can see there's users, teams, scoreboard, and challenges, as well as we have some stuff like notifications. So if they put out, information regarding a challenge, we can view it. Or if, there's issues with a current challenge, like, the infrastructure needs to be taken down for maintenance. Um, there's also team. You can go over here and see the members of your team. So we have our president, Grape Juice, which is also Grace, and then myself. I just quickly did. You can kind of see here the breakdown of the challenges that I've solved. It was just the sanity check. Sanity check is just like to make sure that you're not a bot, and it's just kind of like it's free points, so at least everyone can kind of get on the scoreboard. So you can see there's a bit of time down here between when I solved each challenges. I did the sanity check around 9:59, and then 10 minutes later I solved the first reversing challenge. Um, but anyway, so you can see it at UNBCTF in this competition. We're in 314th place with 200 points. There's a bunch of different buttons on just stuff we can do on our team. But let's go over here and take a look at the challenges. So this is really what makes up a CTF. It's built out into the categories just right like this. You can see there's different challenges. They're each weighted worth different points. So if you solve it, you get X amount of points. In this specific CTF, the more people solve a challenge, the less the challenge becomes worth. So obviously, the strategy is to solve as many challenges as you can, as fast as you can, to get the most points. You can see there's a bunch of different categories here. We have pwn, so that's also known as binary exploitation. They misspelt stego here, but this is steganography, so hiding information or data inside of an image or some other file. We have the misc category. So these challenges could be anything. I think in this case, this was related to something called Equinox. There's OSINT, so open source intelligence. So you have to find, like information that's publicly available, or at least the flag is hidden somewhere on the internet that's publicly available, and you can search for it. So think of like a GeoGuessr almost, but in this case, this is for CTFs or just for cybersecurity in general. So what can you find given certain pieces of information through the internet, whether it be on social media, through search engines, stuff like that. And we also have your web exploitation categories. You can see there's a couple different challenges here. Looks like they favor web and pwn. Those seem to be the two really popular categories. Um, and then reversing here. So the way this works is you click on the challenge, and it gives you a description. In this case, there isn't one. There's just a file here that we can download called meow. And then, if you think you have the flag, in this case, the format for it is ICTF. You could say like, hey, this is the flag. Oh, I can't spell. This is the flag. You can submit it, and it says, okay, in this case, I've already solved this. So if I go and try and do one that I haven't solved yet, ICTF flag, it'll say, incorrect. So that would be where we submit the flag. And you can also see over here that 61 teams have solved, this challenge already. So that's a lot. There's some familiar names here, actually, like the Flat Network Society, the Hackers Crew, and DedSec. These are all pretty big names in the CTF world, at least. I think there's also quite a few other like American universities in this competition right now. Yeah. So this is kind of the layout of just how CTF works. Then you've got your scoreboard as well, which I'll go to in a second. We also have crypto challenges, Pi Jail, that's a special category just specific to this CTF. It's not something you see too often, but Pi Jail is essentially you're given a Python environment and you have to break out of it somehow. And then sanity is just your sanity checks. So in this case, they also added a second sanity check that says, hey, some of our team wasn't satisfied with the sanity challenge, so ask our bot. So they have a bot in the Discord server. Ask our bot nicely in a CTF way, and you might receive a flag. Smiley face. So it's got 142 solves. Oh, offenders. That's actually another big. And same with OSU Sec. Those are two other big CTF teams. It's good to see there's a lot of people here, or at least some familiar faces. Yeah. All right. So just we'll go over to the scoreboard real quick, just so you can kind of see how this is panned out, or at least how it plays out in terms of CTF here. So you can see we've got a list of like all the different teams, but in this case, the top 10 are shown up here on this kind of graph. And you can see their progression, how fast they solve challenges, if they start getting stuck, stuff like that. So you can see, for a while, what is it? What's the screen team? DeadSec was in first. I think when I checked this morning, they were in first by a lot. And then same with Hackers Crew. Like they were doing very well. You can see it changes a lot here. We have a lot of battles kind of in this middle area here around, I think that is 13:59, whatever time it is in Japan. I think that also, actually, no, that could be UTC. I could be incorrect about that. But around 30, yeah, I think that's 13:59 UTC. You can see there's a lot of changes in position, and just a lot of teams quickly solving more and more problems. So you can see, their scores displayed here, their place, and then you can also click on the teams and see who's a part of, each team. So in this case, we could go like, oh, let's see who's part of the Hackers Crew. You can see they've have 21 solves and 6 failed attempts, uh, and they've solved, I think, one of everything in almost every category. That's actually insane. But they're so yeah. The other thing is, a lot of these teams will kind of get together, or maybe all work under one account. So there's probably like several people working under this account, just with the same credentials, and then oh, sorry, I'm still a little bit under the weather. And then they all just submit through the same account. Um, yeah, but it also shows you all the different challenges they've solved and when they solved them. So yeah, it's very interesting to see. Anyways, we'll move on to web security. But in case you wanted to, maybe take a crack at some of the challenges or just log in and see what this is like for yourself, in the Discord, in the competitions channel, there was the link to join. And I'll be posting the write up of the first challenge I did, or the first reversing challenge I solved down here shortly. It's just kind of off topic if I, show how it was solved on the stream here while we're doing web security. As I don't want anybody to get confused here or feel overwhelmed because it's going to be brand new and something we haven't looked at before. We've been talking about web security and just getting comfortable with the terminal for crying out loud. So um, hopefully everyone who's still with me here, I think we've got something like 13 viewers right now. We're gonna head over to Natus and we're gonna pick up from last session. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions or any feedback for me, just feel free to you know put something in the chat either on Discord or uh, on the stream, and I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. I think Steven left off. Oh yeah, that's another thing is big thank you to Steven, to Grace, and to Rohit as well for coming together and keeping the stream going last Friday, as I was under the weather and I wasn't able to, come and participate or stream. So big thank you to them, and it's always nice that we have people in place to kind of take over if I'm unavailable or just whoever's willing to teach really. Um, right. So Natus 4. I just have to quickly check the Discord here. I think the credentials are also there. I could be wrong. I think it was in resources or recap, something like that. Second here. Oh, right. Steven sent me the link to it. I don't know if Steven's here tonight, but yeah, it was in general. That's where it was. Okay. So if you scroll up in general, I'll just paste it again. But these are the credentials to Natus 4. So actually, this should be 4 to 5. That is my apologies. Um, we're going to be looking at Natus 4 to 5. And I don't know. I just want, someone can quickly correct me if Stephen went over like URLs and just kind of the scheme and, what HTTPS is. Because I know he went over like the structure of websites and stuff like that. I just don't know if we've gone over like network requests or anything like that. I'm pretty sure he mentioned something about burp, although, I'm not too sure. As I didn't fully get a chance to watch the stream, and I probably should have asked him, what you guys covered uh, before I started here, but oh well. So just here in general, I put out the credentials for Natus 4 to the next level. Just realized actually that needs to be Natus 4. Uh, Natus 4. And then, um, here, I might just go paste that in the stream chat so anyone who's not in the Discord can use it as well. Uh, there. So that new line is kind of the password as well. Uh, Here, I'll just quickly copy that. Right there, I've copied the password. Thank goodness. Okay, here. Excellent, we're in. Oh, excuse me. All right, so it says here, access is disallowed. You're visiting from empty string, while authorized users should only come from http natus5 natus.labs.overthewire.org. I actually have to just give myself a quick refresher on what the previous level was. But if anybody has any ideas about how we can progress about this before I kind of dive in, it's been a while since I've done Natus, but if anyone has any ideas of things we could look at, I actually, okay, I remember how to solve this level. That's good, but I just want to give everyone a chance to kind of explore this on their own. I'll give you a few minutes here before I kind of dive into the solution for this. And feel free to just start tossing out ideas in the chat or in the Discord, about ways we could go about solving this. Feel free to play around. All right. I'll kind of call that as time. Just not seeing any activity in the uh, the chat or anything like that. Yeah. So I think Steven might have gone over Burp Suite in the last session. I could be wrong, but if not, just in case here, we'll fire up Burp Suite and kind of get an idea or get acquainted with it. Um, so over here, I don't know if it can be seen, but I have an extension that looks like a kind of a Fox up here. It's called Foxy Proxy. So you're gonna want this to install this in Firefox. You can just search for Foxy Proxy, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the first thing that's gonna come up. All it is a essentially a sort of like an HTTP request proxier. So you can send your web traffic to it, and it'll intercept it, and you can kind of deconstruct it or modify it on the fly. So it's really helpful if you need to examine the requests that are being made on a website or a web application. Maybe if you're trying to audit the security and you want to play around with values, it's excellent for doing exactly that. Um, so just here, you can click on actually, I'll zoom in as well, just so people can actually see. You want to use the Mozilla add-ons link. It's got a 5-star rating. I personally love it myself. I've already have it installed. It's just one click. You click the button, allow it, and install it. And then in terms of configuration, uh, once you have installed, just click options. I think there's also a one for Chrome. So if you're a fan of Chrome, you can, and you don't like using Firefox, you can install it there too. But what you need to do is click Add, and then just you can put whatever you want as the title. In this case, we're going to call it Burp. And keep the proxy type is HTTP. You're going to want to put 127.0.0.1, so your local host, and then 8080. And then you can save that. You don't need to worry about a username and password for this proxy because uh, it's not set up that way. Um, it's just listening locally on your machine. So you can see here I've already got one created. I called it Burp just so I remember what it is, and it's set up as 127.0.0.1, and it's on port 8080. If I go over here and continue up, starting up Burp Suite, we're going to see over here in the Intercept tab. So in case, actually, I'm not sure if Steven went over it, but Burp Suite, incredibly useful tool for kind of auditing the security of a web application or just uh, anything that uses kind of HTTP or some sort of web communication in general. Perfect for it. There's a ton of tabs here, and we might not have time to go over everything. I'm actually going to work on, where is it? Options. I'm just going to quickly increase the font size here. I think it's in settings. There it is. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to break this. Okay. But, all right. Let's try 20 because that's a little big. Okay. So hopefully everyone can see my screen here. And, it's a little big now. But over here, there's the proxy tab, and there's this button that says intercept. So this allows us, when we turn this on and we turn on our proxy over here in Firefox to Burp, this allows it. So when we refresh the page, you can see Burp. Oh, it popped up immediately there. It says, hey, we're getting a request here to get slash on the host natus4.natus.labs.overthewire.org. So you can see, okay, great. We've already been authenticated, and there's a bunch of different headers here, which I'm not sure if Steven went over. Actually, if someone could just put in the chat if Steven went over headers and kind of the structure of a web request, that would be awesome. Just so I don't start overwhelming people here. Anyone's confused. I can explain it quickly. Uh, yeah. So just quickly, can someone put in the chat or in the Discord, did we go over the structure of web requests and kind of like a URL and HTTPS last session? Uh, Rohit or Grace, I'm not sure if you're there, but if you know, I don't know, maybe Steven, or if you're there too. I don't think he is, but if anyone knows if we went over just kind of the structure of a web request or like an HTTP request, that'd be awesome. Just, yeah, put it in the chat or something. Okay, so from the looks of it, uh, we haven't gone over that stuff just yet. So before I get into solving this level, I'm just gonna drop this, turn intercept off. We're gonna quickly go over just what a web request is, or what HTTP requests look like, um, and kind of the structure of a URL as well. So uh, we're just going to quickly take a look at, it's called an RFC, so a request for comment of kind of how URLs are structured and built up. Um, so RFCs are very popular with just kind of engineers, or when you're putting out product, like a new kind of suggestion or for a standard. This is kind of what you do. You put out, it's like a memo to a certain organization or a group of people about what a proposed standard could be for some certain technology or protocol. So you can see here, there's a whole bunch of authors for this memo that kind of proposed it. You can see this was proposed in December of 1994 over here. So this is kind of when the web was first really coming to be, and it was people were actually able to uh, start using kind of the internet more. So the very early days. This is before I was born. I'm sorry if that makes anyone feel old. Um, but if we scroll down here, we can see that, okay, so the general idea with the URL is that there's a scheme and then there's a scheme specific part. So, okay, that sounds somewhat, understandable, but what the hell does that even mean? Um, so if we scroll down, we keep, taking a look, we can see, oh, okay, there's some schemes here. What the hell is a scheme? So a scheme essentially is just a way of mapping to a protocol, and they're like, as confusing or as jargony as that might sound, we can see some stuff we start to recognize here. FTP, file transfer protocol. Okay, so that's how people transfer files. uh, HTTP, oh, hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, we might have heard of that before, but what really is it? We look down here and we see, okay, we kind of have a bit more of an idea. So there's a scheme, and then you've got a user, a password, add a host with some port, and then a URL path. Like, what? This is seems confusing. We scroll down and we see, okay, this is kind of starting to make a bit more sense now. You can see this would be like the idea of a FTP scheme. So if you wanted to log in via FTP somewhere, it'd be FTP and then your colon, 2 forward slashes host.com. Okay, so we kind of realized like that's starting to make sense. We can see this is all FTP specific, but oh, this is what we want, HTTP right here. So HTTP URL schemes are used to designate internet resources. So at a high level, this is essentially just saying, okay, this is how we're going to define URLs and websites. Because ultimately, what happens is when you type into your browser something like Google.com, your computer does, it's called domain name resolution. So it converts that nice fancy URL that we can read as humans, google.com, into an IP address for your computer to connect to. And essentially just, route the traffic to. So it goes, okay, instead of sending it to google.com, I want to send it to a certain IP address because, that's what's kind of set up behind it. So we can see, all right, a URL takes the form of, the protocol here. So the Steam HTTP, then we have the host, and then a colon, which this part's optional. The port it's on. By default, it's 80 for plain text HTTP, and then HTTPS, which we can see up here. We've got the nice little padlock that says we're secure. Um, that says this is excuse me, a secure connection. The default port for that is 443. And then you can see, okay, after we've specified all this nice stuff about the domain, in this case up here, we've got rfceditor.org. You can see there's a slash that follows afterwards. And so that's the path to a specific kind of uh, spot on the website. So a specific page or a specific directory within a page. It's starting to kind of make sense to us. So it says, okay, within the path here, uh, the slash, forward slash, semicolon, and question mark are reserved. The slash character may be used with an HTTP to designate a hierarchical structure. So you can kind of see up top here in this URL that we have RFC slash RFC 1738. So, okay, that's kind of starting to make sense. Uh, you know, it just kind of described like a hierarchical structure. So maybe on like the web server here, there's a directory called RFC, and then this page is literally just called RFC 1738, and then it ends in some extension like .html, .php, .aspx, a bunch of different web frameworks. So now when we looked at that, we kind of have an understanding. Okay, so this is a URL. The URL is just the address of a website, but in a fancy human readable form, so we don't have to see its IP address. Okay, that's starting to make sense. And now we've learned that, okay, whatever comes after the URL, that's either a path to a specific web page or feature of an application, uh, or maybe there's some sort of functionality there. It could be anything from like images to an actual web page to CSS stylings. Um, so we kind of have an idea, like, okay, we know what the URL is here. Let's quickly talk about what is it about HTTP and what it is. So the hypertext transfer protocol, also highly recommend. Just a quick kind of reminder for resources here. So the Mozilla developer documentation is probably the most thorough and most conclusive on the entire internet in terms of anything web related. So highly recommend if you ever have questions about like what's up with a website or what's going on here with just kind of the web and you have a question about it. This is the place to kind of come and look it up. So we can see here, okay, HTTP, I'm just going to zoom in, is a protocol for fetching resources such as HTML documents. It's the foundation of any data exchange on the web, and it's a client server protocol. Okay, so that makes some sense. So, we could say here, we're some client and we want to reach a web server. We go through the internet and this web document, it might be comprised of several things. There might be images, there might be ads like this, there might be videos. So all these are stored somewhere, and we do different type of requests essentially uh, to get those elements, and then they're all rendered together, kind of very nicely in your web page. So you can see here, clients and servers communicate by exchanging individual messages. So kind of what I just mentioned. So those different resources, they'll be exchanged in individual messages as opposed to one singular stream of data. So the messages are sent to the client, um, or sent from the client. Sorry. So when we visit a web page, all these different requests are made to load the different elements of it, or the different aspects of it. We call these requests. And whatever the server sends back to us, whether hey, here's that resource you just requested, or hey, sorry, you don't have permission to access that, or it doesn't exist, like error 404, not found. Those are called responses. So we kind of have an idea now. Okay, so there's these requests and there's also responses. We have an idea of kind of how the website or how HTTP works now. We make a request to some resource, and then a server will tell us, hey, here's that resource, or sorry, I can't give that to you for XYZ, or something went wrong. So behind HTTP, there's a whole bunch of kind of layers behind it, but it's what's called an application layer protocol. So it works over something called TCP, which you don't need to worry about right now, but it's just a way of communicating with different computers on a network, or in this case, the internet. Um, and it requests an HTML page, which will then load the CSS and JavaScript and whatever else is included in it. Um, so in this case, sometimes you'll come across between these requests, like we were going to do up here with Burp Suite. It's called a proxy. So a proxy is essentially just kind of like a middleman. So you would send your request to a proxy, and then the proxy handles it from there in terms of where it gets sent and what happens. So with our proxy, what we were going to do is just set it up so we could edit and modify requests, as normally you can't do that on the fly here. So there's some basic kind of aspects of HTTP. It's designed to be readable, and kind of split into those individual requests, as we just kind of saw. There's a whole bunch of different functionality to it. So there's these things called headers. There's a bunch of like different options and data that we can control with our connections and requests to web servers. Um, so here, let's look at the flow here. So essentially, when we go over here, or just even when we requested this web page and it loaded, we sent what's called a get request. So there's these things called verbs, and in this case, get. Actually, I think I should also do HTTP RFC. That'd be a good overlook. But we have these things called verbs. So we'd say, okay, get, we want to get slashed. So the index, we want to get the root web page of some web server. And then you can see the protocol is specified as HTTP version 1.1. The host is, the website we want to contact or reach. And then we have another header here called an accept language. We don't need to worry about that. It's just kind of a typical request you'll see being made. Then we have something here that says, okay, this is a typical response from a web server. We can see, okay, it responded with 200 okay. So it responded with some sort of response code. It gave us the current date of the server, the title of the server that it's running on. So Apache, which is it's a web server framework. It last modified date of that web page, and some other these are called headers here. We'll go over kind of the structure in just a second. Um, Although Mozilla does have a good kind of outline here, just briefly, of something I mentioned. There's the method, or it's known as a verb, the path or location of the resource you want to get, the version of the protocol, the host, and then the accept language. Those are all just called headers, which you don't need to worry about right now. But the thing we're going to quickly just focus on is that there are several things called HTTP methods, and they're verbs like get, post, or a noun like options or head. We'll kind of define and just quickly go over what all these are in a second here before we get involved with that one challenge again. So we can see get, that kind of makes sense. That's kind of self-explanatory. We want to get a certain resource. Post, that makes, some sense. Like, okay, at a face value here, before we start looking into it, post means, send something. Like you can think of it like if you're posting mail, you're sending mail to someone. So in this case, we might consider that as like, okay, we're sending data or information in this case to a web server. Because it wouldn't make sense if we were to get a page, but somehow we sent data to it. We're requesting a resource. We're not sending information to a web server. So we don't need to worry about the other verbs like options or head, but at the moment, but we just need to know that they exist. And then we can scroll down here and we can see just kind of an example of the response. Okay, so we have, once again, the status code. So the response, like what was the response from the operation we tried to just perform? So, hey, we asked a web server for this resource. Did it give it to us? Yes. Okay, perfect. It'll send back a 200 okay. It's allowed. The resource is available and it's able to serve it to us. Um, you have a status message as well, like okay. So that'll tell us, okay, it worked perfect. There was no trouble between our request and the response. Then you have all those headers, and eventually the content is given back to us. So we go and take a look over here at the hypertext transfer protocol here on the RFC. You can see there's a whole bunch of just kind of different sections to it. You can see that there's a whole list of these are called response codes, and what's acceptable and what's allowed. So we have 200 okay, 201 created, 202 accepted. All these different codes. So we kind of have an idea, of like what it looks like. Although, oh my goodness, I forgot how long this RFC was. I want to see if there's a headers section. Let's go general syntax. That would be good. Okay, actually, I've ended up scrolling here for a second. Headers. Here we go. So it says here, HTTP header fields, which include general header information, request header, response header, and entity header. All these, confusing words. They're part of requests, and it says here that each header is denoted by the name of the header followed by a semicolon, and then its value. So in this case, you can see here message header. Uh, you know, we would see the value here separated by the colon, and then the actual value, or sorry, the name, and then a colon separated by the value. So if we go over here back to the challenge now, I'll zoom in a little bit, and I opened up kind of the developer tools here. If I just refresh the page, you can see, oh wow. So from this initial GET request that I just made, here's all these different requests to different resources that have kind of come as a result of requesting this page. These are what are being loaded as a result of sending this GET request right here to the web page. Might be kind of small, but you can kind of see that we have over here, okay, there was a GET request made. The scheme was HTTP, the host was NATS4, the file name in this case was the root index. And you can see that it gave us an IP address here and a port as a result of doing the DNS resolution. So translating this URL into an IP for your computer to go and talk to. You can see the actual request. There was no payload sent because it was a GET request. And we can look at the response. In this case, the HTML is rendered right on the spot, but we also have the option to view it raw. So luckily for us, Firefox and Chrome does it too. It breaks down the request into nice readable forms. So you can see, okay, here were the headers that were sent along. And then in this case, I think Firefox is the only one that allows you to do this. I don't know that Brave or Chrome or any other browser really allows you to, but you can actually edit and resend requests straight out of Firefox without needing Burp. You can see over here we have status, so 200 okay, so the responses were good. The methods were all get. This, these were the domains. These were the files we were getting. You can see the initiator. So, okay, what was the reason for calling out to the web server and getting this certain resource, as well as the type of response. So, what it responded to us with, whether it was HTML or JavaScript or something like that, the size of the transfer, and whether or not the response was cached or something like that. So we can see over here we had a 404 because something was not cached, but that's okay. But in this case, this says, access is disallowed. You're visiting from blank, while authorized users should only come from http nodus5.nodus.labs.overthewire.org. So that kind of gives us a quick idea of what might be going on here. So if I just click refresh page, you can see now that, oh, the text has changed. Access disallowed. You're visiting from natus4.labs.overthewire.org, while authorized users should only come from natus5. So if I click refresh page again, you can see that, oh, wait, a request being made to index.php. So the root kind of folder, or sorry, the root kind of header. We can see, or sorry, the root file of this web server. You can see that a whole bunch of different requests were made, or sorry, a whole bunch of different headers were sent out with our request. We can see there was an accept header, authorization, so for us to log in, the host. Then we see this one that says, oh, refer. What is that? Luckily for us, within Firefox, because it's made by Mozilla, you have the option to click on that kind of question mark if you've never seen it before, and it'll take you straight to the documentation. Like, how awesome is that? So we can see here that the refer header contains the absolute or partial address from which a resource has been requested. So basically what this is saying is, when I go and request a new page, if this header is set, this is just saying, hey, this is where I came from. So in some cases, this is what this is how like a lot of websites kind of track, where you're visiting their site from, like where a lot of their traffic is coming from. So whether you're coming from Google, from Facebook, from Reddit, from Amazon, stuff like that. So that's just one way, kind of that this is used in the real world, and this isn't just like something CTF or web security specific. So this just says like, hey, this is where I'm coming from, and it tells the and it comes from just kind of like oh, that's actually funny. Just reading here that it says the header refer is actually a misspelling of the word refer. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I guess. Well, programmers aren't they might be good at writing code or designing specifications, but I guess they can't spell. English isn't for everyone. But yeah, so we can see here, refer just says, okay, this is where we came from. It tells the web server, this is what we were doing. So based on reading the hint here, we kind of have an idea now. We go, okay, so access was disallowed. You're visiting from Natus 4, but we should come from Natus 5. So maybe, just hear me out. Maybe we intercept this request, edit that header so it says we come from Natus 5, and maybe then we'll be able to get to the next level. So if anyone kind of has experience doing this before, you can go ahead. If not, I'll kind of just go through setting up Burp Suite with everyone. I'll just kind of start over, considering that it wasn't, I don't know if Stephen went over it last time. So I'll start fresh here. The first thing you want to do is you can click the little dragon up in the top left-hand corner uh, in Kali, or you can just press the Windows key or something like that, and then you can search for Burp. So Burp Suite, and then you'll just want to launch it. It might come out a little funky on my screen because I didn't have it fully in the window or the window that I'm capturing. So you can see here it says that we're using the Community Edition. Burp Suite does offer a Pro Edition and Enterprise Edition, so it is a very popular tool and it's incredibly powerful and handy for if you're on an engagement or something, or you're just doing some form of penetration testing or auditing the web security of an application, or even if you're just messing around for fun. Incredibly powerful. The pro version of it has a ton of features in addition to the version. And we're very lucky that this tool even exists for free. But yeah, um, so you unfortunately can't save projects, but that's okay because for what we're doing, we don't really need to save any of the information. This is more just so we can modify things on the fly. If we did want to like kind of save a project, so we could demonstrate to like, if you're trying to demonstrate to a company or to a client, like, hey, these are findings I came across while I was auditing your application. And, you just wanted to actually have record, have proof of that. That is a feature available only in the pro version. And that's kind of what that's used for as well. Just kind of having a persistent session. So you can go ahead and click next. We don't need to load any special configurations for this just because we're just using Burp for the first time and there's nothing really complex that we need to work with right now at the moment. So you can just go ahead and click Start Burp. You can see here it's going to say starting project, please wait. And all right, here we go. We have, kind of, wow, this is like a big interface. There's a lot of stuff here. You can see we have an event log. We have issue activity. We have tasks that are currently running. And we have a whole bunch of tabs up here. So we have burp, project. So for project settings, intruder, which you can use kind of to script attacks against a web server if you're trying to test for something or a specific kind of vulnerability. We have repeater, which is where you can edit and resend as many requests as you want. And then we just have our window settings here so we can open up different kind of tabs in Burp Suite. So you can see we have our target. You can, start mapping out sites and stuff like that, or, set a scope so that Burp Suite doesn't accidentally go out of scope if you're attacking something. Because that's the last thing you want is you accidentally bring down like or start attacking something you're not authorized to, because that is illegal and that is something at the end of the day that as a professional and just even for educational purposes you always want to stay within the law. You don't want to be doing anything illegal. So this is where you can define like the scope of the site that you want to attack, and you don't want to attack stuff you don't have permission to. So we also have the proxy tab here. This is probably going to be the most used piece of Burp Suite aside from the repeater that we'll kind of go over in this probably tutorial, or at least just that you'll use in general with Burp Suite. So the proxy, as we kind of went over, it's like a middleman. So it catches the requests that we send it, so we can edit them and resend them, or just see what's going on behind the scenes. So we can go ahead and turn intercept on. You can see that there's also a tab that says HTTP history. So if you accidentally, clicked a the wrong button, instead of sending the request forward, you accidentally click drop, and you're like, oh no, like that was really important. I wanted to see what was there. You can go over to this tab, and it'll be here. There's also WebSockets, which we'll go over at a later date. We don't need to worry about what those are right now. It's just an advanced version of like communications over HTTP and websites. And then this repeater tab here, it says, to get started, send a request to repeater anywhere from Burp. So this allows us to kind of edit and modify a request multiple times and send it as many times as we want. So we go back over the proxy, click intercept is on. You'll see over here in the options that it's set up kind of as 127. It's listening on 127.0.0.1 on port 8080, which is what we had set our proxy to in Foxy Proxy. Um, So you can change this. However, I really don't recommend it because it can screw you up later. So just leave it as is. Um, but now that we have intercept on, we can go back over to Natus and just again, in case anyone wasn't here for it, go ahead and search for the extension. It's called Foxy Proxy. What you can do then is click Add. You put in the name of the proxy, so whatever you want to call it, like test or burp suite. Then you'd put in the IP address, so 127.0.0.1. Oops, 127.0.0.1, and then the port was 8080. Don't need to specify username or password. Yeah. So once that's set, what you can do is go back over to Natus, and we can go, okay. So we have an idea here. It's that access was disallowed. We're visiting from there, and we can only come from Natus 5. So if I go over into the tab or into the extension here and click turn on burp, we can do refresh page here. And then instantly you can see that burp, the window comes to the front and it'll say, hey, I just caught this request here in the proxy. What do you want me to do? So in this case, we can see, oh, there's the refer. You can right click and you have all these options. So we'll send this to repeater. You can also do this using Control R. And we'll play around with that in just a second. But you can see here, okay, so the refer, this is what we wanted. So the refer, that's what it kind of told us, like that's what we're here for. That's what we should change. So if I click backspace, and edit that to say Natus 5, I now have the option of forwarding that request or dropping it. So they're kind of self-explanatory. Forward means you want to send it forward to the web server, and then whatever response is given to your to your web browser, it'll just go from there. Or drop means you can just drop the request entirely. You don't want it to go through. You just wanted to see what this was going to look like. So in our case, we do want it to go through because we want to get to the next level. So if I click forward, now we can go back to the web page here, and I think edited, yes, status, and let's take a look at the response. Oh, I see my mistake. Whoopsies. Okay, so quick little mistake here. I forgot to remove the index.php. So if I click refresh page again, you can see, okay, we got the same thing. The refer is there. We just want to get rid of the index.php that was at the end, and then we can click Natus. We can change that to Natus 5 again. Click forward. We go back to the window and look. Oh, access granted. The password for Natus 5 is this. I'll go and paste that in just a second. But just over here, when we sent this to the repeater tab, we can see that, okay, we had this, kind of request. You can see there's a tab created up here that says 1. And this is the first request we sent over to the repeater, so we can kind of edit it as many times as we want and just see what the responses are. So if I had done something like Natus 3 and sent it, we could see, okay, here's the raw response it gave us. And you can see down here it says, oh, access is disallowed. You're visiting from Natus 3, and you should come from Natus 5 only. So, okay, my mistake. If I change that to Natus 5, and then I go over here and get rid of the index.php, go ahead and hit send, we get, oh, look, access is granted. The password for Natus 5 is this. So I'm just going to copy that really quickly. And then switch over into pasting it into the chat here. So we have Natus 5 and that. I'm also just going to go ahead and quickly paste that in the Discord as well, uh, so that everyone has access to it. Um, there. So there's Natus 5. I think, yeah, that's good for that level. I can't remember how long this stream runs, if it's supposed to go to 7:30 or just 7, but I think I'll keep going here unless someone says otherwise. I'm pretty sure it was 7:30. I'm also still under the weather, not fully sure. But also, this is awesome to see that we have a couple new followers this time around. Um, so yeah, very good to see. Uh, if anybody has any questions, this is just going to kind of be a quick pause or brief period where we can kind of walk through something, or if I move too fast, you have any questions, like please feel free to just go ahead and paste it in the chat, either on Twitch or in Discord, or even direct message me or something like that. But just know that that's the purpose of this, is to make sure that everyone kind of has an understanding of what's going on, why we're doing this, and the importance of why we're learning this. So if anyone, like this didn't make any sense to anyone, or I was moving too fast, highly suggest, please just be vocal about it, say something. That way I can uh, go over something if you didn't understand it. All right, so we see sorry FSU says, can you quickly do the forward request again? Sure. um, so if I go back over to proxy, you can see right now, you quickly do the forward request again after the intercept. Okay. So so you can see I've got intercept on, and all those options are grayed out because there's no request here right now. Because I still have burp kind of turned on up here in my web browser, uh, it's just something to be careful of, is if you accidentally leave it on and you aren't there to intercept the request, the application will kind of hang. But once again, if I just go ahead and click refresh page here, uh, you'll see that burp. Okay, boom, instantly catches the application or the request here, and we can see the different headers that come with it. There's the get verb. This is the path it wants, is index.php, and then this is the version of HTTP it wants. So you can see that the forward button, that essentially means we want to forward the request. So we can either edit things in here. Um, we can edit some of the headers and then forward it, or we can drop it. Drop it just means completely just stop the request from going through, and just kind of deny it, just get rid of it, literally drop it. Forward button means okay, we've done what we wanted to here. Send it along to the web server where it's actually going to be received. Because if you look right now back at your browser, you're just going to see, oh, the page is loading. It's like it's hanging, it's frozen, and that's because uh, we've intercepted the request here, and it hasn't actually gone through to the server. This is just us taking a quick peek at it before it's being sent along. Does that make any sense? Sorry, FSU. I hope that kind of was a somewhat decent explanation. Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, you got asked for hosts/proxy. Maybe post in the Discord, just like a screenshot of what you got, if you can, um, just so that way I can kind of help work through it. That way, it's maybe it's something that other people are experiencing. You got asked for host slash proxy at the very next step. That's weird. I don't fully know what to tell you. Um, hmm. Yeah, maybe just go toss that in the Discord, and we'll take a quick peek here before I move on. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to understand and kind of move along at the same pace. Yeah. All right. While I'm waiting for that, suppose just in case here, we'll maybe move along. Uh, Yeah, just I know it kind of sucks, guys, that we aren't in person tonight, but it is what it is. It was really, really terrible weather outside today. Uh, Pretty treacherous, not gonna lie. On my way to class today, I nearly ate it a couple times, so it kind of makes sense that the university closed for today. Sucks for us, but we won't be stopped. We still stream online here. So yeah. Um, but yeah, if anyone else has any questions or if you're confused, please, 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 like reach out. This is, kind of the time to, if you need something clarified or you aren't fully sure about a concept or something like that, please, do reach out or just, ask someone in the Discord. Just put out maybe even in, the general chat. Just say like, hey, I have a question about this, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people, available. Oh, okay. So, sorry, FSU. I just saw your yeah, I just saw your message. So you said that happened after you clicked forward. Actually, I'll just message you in Discord because there's a delay with the stream. Okay, I kind of have an idea of the behavior. Why that happened. So let me go back over here to my VM. So I'll just drop this for now. If I go to repeater, I see. I see. Okay. So you unfortunately, all right. I see what happened. That's exactly what happened. So if you just go over to repeater and like I didn't have this request here, if you just click like a new one or you have something blank here and you just click send, it'll say, hey, configure the target details because there's no actual request here. But if you go back to your proxy and when you actually intercept something, uh, you can see, okay, we have a new request that we've intercepted here. Instead of clicking forward, like forward sends that back over to the client, or sorry, to the server. That doesn't actually send it to repeater. You have to right click here anywhere on the text, and then you can click send to repeater, or you can just hit Control R. So then over here in repeater, now that the request is actually here, you can just click send as many times as you want. You can edit it. You could put like, this is where you could change it. Refer. You want Natus 5. Um, and you want to get rid of index.php, and then you can send it along. And okay, there's the password. Hopefully that made sense. I'm not sure if you just saw that. Sorry, FSU, but that is what was happening. Um, yeah, so that is what was happening, and hopefully, that makes sense, and you're able to just kind of fix that. If not, I'll be here after the session and I can help kind of work through it with you. But I think in the meantime here, we're going to move over to the next level. So Natus5, we had that username was Natus5. And then the password was, that nice long thing I just had. Okay, it's still copied to my clipboard. Awesome. There we go. Okay, and now you can kind of see for the next level here, access is not allowed. Also with Burp Suite, you don't need Kali for it. You can install it, I think, on almost any operating system. Like you could just have it on Windows, like on your host machine. Although I don't necessarily recommend it unless you're doing like some sort of web security outside of your VM for whatever reason. Like you're just doing it on the fly just for fun, like that. You could have it then, but it works just as well when it's in your VM. I also might kind of at the end of the session here go over Parrot, which is an alternative to Kali, and it's a lot easier to run on computers that don't have a ton of like uh, insane kind of hardware installed, or they aren't maybe your laptop or whatever isn't super powerful. I used to run Parrot. I still have it here just in case something goes wrong with my Kali VM. It's a solid alternative into Kali as well. It's literally all the same tools, and it's just made by a different organization as all. So, anyways, you can kind of see now that we have here's oops. You can see we have the next level here, and it says access disallowed. You are not logged in. So if I go ahead and take a look at, okay, what do we have here? If I just click reload, what kind of requests are we getting here? So we see there's the 200, and what's this? Actually, this might be better just with burp. So yeah, this will 100% be better with burp. So if I go ahead and turn burp back on, you can see, okay, access is disallowed and not logged in. If I go ahead and refresh the page again, we see, okay, this is the request we're making, get on index.php. So, the root kind of file. And then we see, we have a header here called cookie, and the value is set, logged in is set to 0. Now, I don't think, it looks a little confusing here. I don't think hopefully this isn't too confusing for too many people, but, you know, I, I think most people here, I'll just give you guys a couple minutes to kind of extrapolate and, uh, determine what you can do next to get to the next level. But I'll just give a quick little hint here. Sometimes data is set as true or false, or also represented as 0 and 1. So while logged in is equal to 0 might represent false. Maybe logged in is equal to 1 might represent true. So I'll just give everyone a quick couple minutes here, or not minutes, but just a little bit here, and maybe try it on your own, and maybe it does work, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. All right, I think that's been enough time. So, if you haven't been able to try it on your own here, we'll just quickly go over, something you can maybe you figured it out, maybe you didn't. But if we just go here and click, logged in, and we set it to 1, let's just see what happens then. If I go ahead and click forward, we get, oh, what do you know? Access granted. The password for NATA 6 is, this. So I'll just go ahead and quickly share that in the stream as well, and then in the Discord. But yeah, so also sorry if you can hear any background noise. I tried to set a suppressor on, but just because my roommates are out watching a movie in the background. um, yeah, but yeah, so there's the password. I'm just going to quickly make sure I paste that in the Discord. I think that copied fine. There. Yeah. All right. We'll do one more, and then I think that's enough to call it for night. It's kind of moving fast here, and there's been a lot of topics that I've covered in such a short time here. Um, so actually, I might even just go back over to the CTF just to kind of show you what a typical challenge looks like. Maybe I'll play one, but Natus 5 here. Okay, we got the password for Natus 6. Excellent, great, lovely stuff. So we'll go to Natus 6. Oops, I forgot to turn off my proxy. So drop. Yeah, you can see also when you drop a request, it'll just say error request was dropped by user. So I'll go ahead and turn that off. Now it's asking me to log in. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's the password. Now we have input secret. Oh, we haven't had one of these in a while. The old view source code. That's always lovely. All right. So we can see here, we have some PHP code. Um, include secret dot include, and then we have if array key exists, submit. If we post some data here, if secret is equal to so if some variable secret is equal to the value we send, it'll just say print access is granted. The password for Natus 7 is censored. Otherwise, it'll say, hey, wrong secret. And then we just have, some basic HTML includes here and just the general structure. So does anyone have any ideas here? Just, maybe toss something out in the chat. I just closed the tab. What am I doing, you dummy? Does anybody have any ideas about what we could do here? Maybe we can just, hit submit query and we get, okay, wrong secret. What if we type like AAA, wrong secret? Anybody got any ideas or recommendations here before I proceed to kind of give a walkthrough? Maybe I'll give you some time as well to just kind of play it on your own, like a minute or two here. If you have any ideas, please, just please toss them in the chat, and I'll try them live, and we can all learn together. All right. All right. Um, just because we're kind of low on time, I'm gonna go back over here, and then we'll go view the source code once again. So we see, we're taking a look at this. We see includes slash secret dot in or include. So we see this is like this is a file. We have a directory and a file here. What if whoever designed the website accidentally left that exposed on the web server? So if we go up here and, this is kind of similar to the first or second challenge, I think, where it's like you have the files directory, and then there's like the secret.txt or users.txt or something like that. Um, what if the includes slash secret.include is there? We can see, oh, blank page. But what if you view the source? Because we knew over here this was PHP code, and it appears nothing's loaded, but we always have to click view source just to make sure that the page isn't empty. And now you can see, oh, we have a secret, FOEIUWG, bunch of text right there. Not nice looking stuff. I'll just zoom in so people can see that a bit better. So we'll copy that, and maybe we can go and put that in here. And oh, look at that, access granted. Password for NATA7 is this. Right. I think I'm blowing through this a little too quickly here for tonight. It is, almost time. Uh, does anybody have any questions about kind of like how to approach similar problems like this, or just what my kind of thought process was when looking over the code there? If so, just please, please, please put it in the chat. Yes, I definitely agree. Larissa, that was significantly easier. But this is, I think, just trying to get people used to post requests and PHP now, because previously we've just been like editing get requests. But yeah, that's good if people are finding it easy. Um, you know, that's the thing about CTFs is a lot of, or even just security in general, is everything seems confusing until you just kind of try the basics and break things down to as simple as it might seem. Like we never think it's the solution might be something super simple, but I guarantee you more often than not, when we go about solving a problem, it's like, oh, that was like really easy. And it's like, well, yeah, it might have been hard at first because we try to overcomplicate things or think like, oh, this is like something super complex. Um, you know, it's it can be not fun. It can be very discouraging. We see things and it's like, oh, well, this is like I'm kind of stuck on this this problem right now. Like, how do I go about solving this? This seems confusing. Like, a lot of the best ways to approach things are literally start at the basics, start with what you know, and then work from there. Yeah. So I'm glad that people did kind of find this one easier. That's good. It's a good sign. It means I'm doing things right, or at least I hope I am, and that it's people are able to actually kind of comprehend and build upon this. Um, yeah. So the nice thing about all of this is it kind of every skill that we'll kind of learn here builds off of the last in a way, and so just it really helps going forward as things start to get more and more complex or a bit more difficult. It helps having those basics kind of instilled, because then you have something to fall back onto. Like, okay, well, maybe it's this. I've seen similar behavior in a website when I was solving this problem type of thing. Yeah, so I'll go over back to my VM really quickly, and maybe we'll call it enough of Natus for today. But the last 5 minutes here, I'll just go over just kind of the CTF. Oh, and thank you, Rohit, as well for reminding me. But we now actually have a YouTube channel where we're going to be uploading all these streams to. Just because with Twitch, they only stay here for I think like 7 days, and then Twitch, because we're not an affiliate or a partner, Twitch says bye bye, get out of here. We aren't YouTube. We aren't a video hosting service. We're a live streaming platform. We don't have the storage to keep your videos here. We just have the storage, or we just have the infrastructure to stream. So yeah, so I'll just quickly actually go over and highlight that. So I think it's youtube.com/UNBCTF. I could be wrong. I'm 95% sure that was the one. Yes. Okay. So you can see here we had that first meeting, and then we have our second meeting posted, and hopefully, we already have 7 subscribers. Look at us go. We're in theory here. We're gonna have all the streams just automatically posted here, so you can go back and watch whenever. Maybe I'll categorize them by like what they are in the future. Just that way, it's like really easy if you want to go back and uh, kind of, I don't know, watch or relearn a specific session or category, like reverse engineering or web exploitation, stuff like that, or even getting back to the terminal basics. But that's another good thing. Thank you, Larissa, for reminding me. Our vice president, good reminder there. Please, 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 like give us some, maybe new name suggestions, because we're trying to move past just focusing on CTFs. And we feel that UNBCTF doesn't necessarily represent the goals or values of the club. And we're trying to make it a bit more broader, like something related to just cybersecurity in general, like maybe UNB Cybersecurity Club, as lame as that sounds. But we're also looking for cool names, because if I go back over to the CTF here, it's yeah, as Larissa just said, it's incredibly good for competitions. Because if we go and look at some of the teams here, none of them are like, oh, this is like the University of we'll go University of Texas Security Club. It's all something like it's something cool. Like in this case, there was DeadSec, so Dead Security, or there was the Flat Network Society. So instead of Flat Earth Society, there's Flat Network. There's also things like yeah, you can see like teams. You can see there's okay. This maybe wasn't a good example here, but if we go back to the scoreboard, we can see we got some pretty cool things like 1/0. That's a good play off of binary, and input or output. Maybe that's what it's supposed to look like, on or off. Flag poisoning, which is good. That's another good name. Uh, that's a really good one. This is digging back, like the Freaks 2600 right here. That is digging back into the original days of hacking, my friends. So there's this thing called phone freaking, and there's a club. It's a hacking club called 2600. Oops, that's 3600. 2600. So it's actually also a magazine. I used to when this magazine was in publication, I used to get it all the time. Uh, but they are 2600 is essentially just like a hacking collective that's existed since 1984. Like wow. And they started out kind of back in the days of like it's called phone freaking. So when you could like call into a phone network and then manipulate just the routes of the phone, uh, or like the operator as well. Like you could trick them into like connecting you to somewhere you shouldn't have access to. Um, it's some really cool stuff that we'll hopefully go over at another time. But as you can see, like 2600, very old kind of looking website, but oh my goodness, these people are crazy. They also do meetups, I think, in every single city, or at least they used to. I've never actually made it to one, but Oh my God, yeah. Look at that right there, my hometown, Calgary, Alberta. The Eau Claire Food Market. Wow, that is interesting. There used to be a ton of meetings in Canada, but I guess there aren't anymore. But you can see, like, they meet literally everywhere across the world. So the UK, Scotland, Ireland, the United States, and then, oh yeah, the United States, they meet in like every single state, I'm pretty sure. But wow, that's insane. They actually still meet in Calgary. I didn't know about that. I went once, but yeah. Anyways, Argentina, you can see they meet in Buenos Aires and Savdera, or Saavedra, sorry, not Savdera. That's a little bit of dyslexia kicking in. Then you can see they meet in Paris, they meet in Dublin in Ireland, they meet in Tokyo. These people are everywhere. But yeah, once again, I guess it is 7:30, so I won't go over a challenge because I'm kind of out of time, and I do want to enjoy the rest of my evening. But you can see like there's a whole bunch of cool names here, and we would really love to have a new cool name for this club. So please, 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 just yeah, send us your suggestions. And we'll take it into consideration, and hopefully we can rebrand with a solid name that everyone likes. That's all for this session. Uh, God bless y'all, and I don't know. Have a good night. Stay safe during kind of these not nice times outside where the weather is very icy and it's just kind of slippery conditions. But enjoy the long weekend, and yeah, maybe if the CTF is still going, maybe tomorrow we can all play. I think there's also a CTF that starts either later tonight or tomorrow. There's another one as well on CTF time that we were looking at doing. So yeah, just keep checking the Discord, and maybe you can participate in your first CTF. It's an awesome experience. Highly recommended. Uh, and yeah, that's all for tonight. Good evening and good night. Um, Enjoy the long weekend. Bye bye.